welcome back to my channel in which I talk about things only when I have a neurodivergent urge to talk about things. Recently, my neurodivergent urge has been parasocialism. I've joined a few new fandoms, and I kind of first learned about parasocialism when I joined the streaming Minecraft YouTuber fandom kind of in 2020 during the height of the pandemic, and a lot of what you're going to see in this video is going to refer back to you know, parasocialism within that time frame. Now that 5 years have passed and I've been joining some new fandoms, I've been noticing a similar pattern of parasocialism in these fandoms as well. And so it just kind of got me thinking about parasocialism and how it kind of ruins fandoms. In the past, I've lost sleep and been distraught over a YouTuber being outed for being a nonce. And what bothered me is that I didn't even know this person in real life. I watched them through a screen, oblivious to their life outside of the little box in my living room that provides me with entertainment. So why am I so upset? Why was I so upset? Why do I feel like a personal confidant betrayed my trust? To answer this, let's talk about parasocial relationships and the inability for humans to avoid them. We've heard the famous line by Ludwig, I'm sure everyone has at this point, "I'm not your friend and I never will be," or something along those lines. And even if we understand that, I think there's an inability for humans to not form these deep parasocial relationships with internet personalities based on the primal need for connection that we all contain. Since the onset of COVID, humans have become vastly more physically disconnected. Lockdown contained us to our own households and sometimes our own rooms within our own households. According to Stuart Walport of UCLA, humans contain a basic need to connect that is just as important as our need for nutrition and shelter. Interacting with others in social settings can decrease anxiety and depression in the long run, as well as lead to higher self-esteem and better empathy. What I'm trying to say in this short little scientific blurb is that there is research backing the fact that humans need connection, whether we're aware of it or not. And within the current climate, we're looking online to create these connections and stir up these interactions. This is where online personalities come into play. For individuals who didn't have online friends pre-lockdown, me, guilty, we look to people such as streamers and YouTubers to keep us company. And even though individuals and fan bases have actually been doing this for a while, again, very guilty of this, lockdown exacerbated this issue by opening the door to fandoms for those who may have never been in one. And this is where the issue begins. I thought that I would come on here and tell you something along the lines of online personalities are so much different from actors. And they are in many aspects. But are they in terms of parasocial relationships? Are they really that different? I'm an individual who's largely online. Like many other people here, I've been absorbed in online worlds since childhood. I'm literally screaming at the idea of webkins coming back. I don't know if that's still a thing. I wrote the script forever ago. And while this isn't inherently bad, it means I have a lot of blinders on how individuals act and feel outside of the internet fandom spaces. Which is why I did some research by digging into some blog-like articles about parasocialism, and this is where the part of my argument began to crumble. Parasocial relationships aren't new. The term was coined by Donald Horton back in 1965 when he was discussing the attachment to TV personalities. Despite this, it was probably also a common occurrence during the golden era of radio talk shows also. So even though I feel as if my mom didn't have a parasocial relationship with Bradley Cooper the way I do with Rhett and Link, it's completely possible that she did. And that the parasocial cycle continues without interruption. But I just can't help the nagging feeling that they're different. So I gave into the nagging, and I'm going to give you a theory. Not a game theory, but a theory. R.I.P. MatPat. He's not dead, we just miss him a lot. We currently live in an age where anyone can be a social media influencer, content creator, YouTuber, streamer, whatever you want to call it. Everyone has the means to create content because technology has become so accessible. However, this also means that anyone can interact with these niche internet celebrities. I think I'd be categorized as a niche internet celebrity. You guys could probably email me and I'd respond. I wouldn't respond. Please don't email me, actually. Don't do that. With interaction like this, there comes a worse parasocial relationship. People who grew up within the same decade as my mom didn't have much ability to personally interact with mainstream celebrities. The closest you could get was probably stalking them or standing on the sidelines of some red carpet event that they were doing. Now it takes like 2 clicks. What I'm trying to say is that there is now a two-way street involved. You can interact with content creators from the comfort of your own home, and they can interact with you. Long gone are the days of staring at pictures taped to people's ceilings. I've never done that. I wonder what celebrity I would have had taped to my ceiling. So what does this mean? So what if my best friend can tweet at Foolish Gamers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and hope that he responds? According to Angela Ficken, a licensed clinical social worker, parasocial relationships can curb an individual's ability to form real connections. Some people feel that these online personas are their friends, their pals, their closest confidants, and I think that this creates mob mentality. Mob mentality is defined as individuals being influenced by a group. If you weren't immersed in social sciences like I was in college, you may not know about mob mentality, but you've probably seen it in action. Chants at sports games, public protests, gatherings to grieve are all examples of mob mentality. And I think that fandoms also create this mentality, and they create it at a much higher volume. I don't think I'm wrong in assuming that some people who form these parasocial relationships with online creators would go to bat for them. As more people protect a creator, it creates this mob mentality that is further perpetuated by the anonymity of it being online. And with the vastness of the internet and the ability of thousands of people to congregate, it creates a rather large mob. Now, why is this an issue? Well, in general, I guess it isn't. Having a large community can be fun. It can allow everyone to find their own space in their own subgroups. However, what happens when a creator is in a controversy? I wanted to talk about the Bug situation, but I also want to start this segment off by saying that I'm not interjecting a guilty or not guilty verdict in the situation. I'm not going to take a side, which some people may see as problematic, but I do not have the ability to fact find nor the discretion to decide who was in the wrong here. What I will say is that sexual assault is not only a serious crime, but it's also a serious allegation. In early 2024, a content creator by the name of Katie Bugs released a statement regarding another content creator who inappropriately touched her while she was at TwitchCon. At the time, she was 18. As more facts of the situation surfaced, it was revealed that the other content creator was George Not Found, a massively popular Minecraft creator. And this is where my recounting of the events ends. If you want a more in-depth play-by-play of these allegations and occurrences, I'll link Tom Dark's video in the description. I think it's about like 2 hours long, and he goes into the allegations and the responses between the two parties. What I want to look at is how these creators in their fandom spaces reacted to the situation. Katie's fanbase was obviously very supportive of her and her claims. They were actively trying to uplift her story and fight back against victim blaming that is inevitable in these situations. George's fanbase was obviously supportive of him and his denial, actively accusing Katie of fabricating or stretching the story. While both fan bases have a right to express their own opinions, there is a problem when you wield a large fandom with little to no control. The size difference between Katie and George's communities is huge, to say the least. George garners millions of views and followers, while Katie garnered thousands. And the pushback that was received by Katie from George's community played a factor in her ultimately leaving all of her social media accounts and kind of abandoning the internet. So, why does this matter? Who cares about this one episode of YouTube drama in the grand scheme of things? I do. And I do because it shows off how parasocialism can turn into a weaponized community in the blink of an eye. I'm under the assumption that a lot of George defenders were hardcore fans, spurred on by the idea that this internet personality couldn't do anything bad, because they know that they're a good person. They know George would never do something like this, and they know all these things because they're tied to this man via a parasocial relationship. The idea that fans hold this innate knowledge of online personalities, parasocialism, creates ride or dies who hold enough belief in their creator that they will take their word as law and blindly attack anyone who disagrees. With this type of dedication comes a level of danger in saying anything negative online as a content creator. One-off comments can lead to bullying, harassment, doxing. Words from creators can be taken out of context to justify online abuse of individuals. Hatred in the name of protecting an online personality becomes normalized. This is how parasocialism ruins the internet. There's this saying that great power comes with great responsibility. I think it's from like Spider-Man or something. But how much of a creator's audience is their responsibility if they aren't the ones who are actively cultivating this parasocialism? That's a question for a different time.